Hello everybody, it's time to do another Division video, because the new expansion came out, and for two reasons. One, because I still play the game and I still enjoy it, and two, because I endorsed this game when it launched, despite middling reviews and a lot of streamers just straight up calling it bad, which, by the way, I want to address that real quick. It's a pet peeve that has been happening more and more, and it's really, really starting to get on my nerves. And it's actually because of the streamer, like, nation as a whole. Like, everybody who does streaming or YouTube, they've become more extreme in their objective criticisms of a game, by, instead of just saying like, oh yeah, this is an okay game, no, it's fun, you should get it, instead they're just like, no, it's bad, or no, it's incredible, best game of the year. And it's really annoying because the general population of gamers is starting to pick that habit up. You shouldn't do that. You should be more objective in your game, like criticisms. You know, a game can be all right and still be great, you know, still fun to play, but it's all right, you know, it's no game of the year, and it's still worth picking up. Whereas a lot of people nowadays are judging games as the worst pile of crap or the most epic godly thing you've ever seen. And stop going to that extreme. It's a pet peeve. It's really annoying. A game can be all right and still be good. That's not in regards to The Division. I still think that The Division is a good game, despite what other people think. So let's get into what this expansion adds, and whether or not it makes the game better, and whether or not it's putting the game in the right direction. So what do you get with this expansion? It's called The Underground, adds patch 1.3, and on top of numerous quality of life changes, countless, basically. It also adds this whole new area to the base of operations called the Terminal, which leads you into the Underground. And we'll get into what the Underground is in a moment. But in order to get this unlocked, you need to have either the Underground, so you either need to purchase the expansion or the Season Pass. And the Season Pass will get you 2 more expansions in the year. So that's just all that really does. But you start out, you have 2 missions that they added, which are actually pretty cool missions. First one is really short. Just kind of introduce it, and then it gives you this one mission where you go into the Underground, and you go into like this secret club that the Rikers set up, and it's really cool. And I'll get into that secret club in a minute, also because that ties into the endless dungeon thing. But so you do those 2 quests, then you unlock the Terminal, which is like this area within the base of operations. It's in the back near the rewards claim vendor. It takes you basically downstairs into this terminal, and it's a long, you know how when you walk into the base of operations, it's got that stupid long walk because it's cleverly trying to load things in instead of just giving you a load screen. You walk in really slowly. It's got another one of those, a slightly longer. Good thing is you don't actually ever really need to deal with that unless you want to, because you can quick travel into the Terminal and into the Underground from the map. And it's really convenient. I wish they would make it so you could quick travel out, and I think that's something they're working on. But you can quick travel in so you don't ever have to deal with like walking into the base of operations, then walking into the Terminal, then loading down through the elevator into the Underground. So, you know, that's basically the stuff that you unlock. It's another section, another wing of the base of operations that you can upgrade and unlock. Like how you walk in, it's just 100% or the 90% or whatever you've actually upgraded or unlocked there. It's straight out, it's just that, but mixed with the Dark Zone in a weird way. Again, I'll get to that. We'll get to the whole endless dungeon thing. That's like the meat and potatoes of this update. But the update also added heroic modes to the already existing incursions. They added a new incursion called Hell's Kitchen. I haven't done it yet, but it's not as single boss focused as the other 2, where you're kind of like, you know, doing one thing basically. It's instead more like a dungeon. It has 3 bosses. It has to do with the cleaners. From what I could tell, it's pretty cool. I haven't done it yet though. Then they also upgraded gear, so there's new item level 268 sets and 229 weapons, which are really nice. There's like 4 or 5 new sets. They're all pretty good. I'm using one of them right now in the footage back there, and it's basically my 4 set bonus is when I kill something, it sets off a flashbang effect at the target of the whoever I killed, and it's really cool. It's actually really nice and useful. And then there's just the general quality of life changes that I said. And they are numerous, and they do make the game a lot more enjoyable. And they fixed a ton of bugs as well. So what is the Underground, and what is this like main part of this expansion? It is an endless dungeon. And by endless, I mean it does have an end, but you can keep doing it, and it is repeatable. To the point where it's procedurally generated, in fact, and it uses tile sets. Why does this sound familiar, you may ask? Well, it's because they're doing exactly what I said they should do when the game came out, which is make the game more like Diablo. This game already had a lot of Diablo-isms, as I call them, and it's just a matter of fact that the game would be a lot better because it is a looter shooter. It does focus on the loot and the RPG mechanics more so than the realism, and with that, they could just make all of the Diablo systems that are really good and put them into the Division, and it would make the game better. I said this at launch, I'm saying it again, it's what they needed to do, and it is what they are starting to do. It's a step in the right direction. So in Diablo, you have these rifts. The rifts are, you open up this dungeon, it's randomized tile sets, randomized enemies, and you get all the way through it. You basically fill out a progress bar by killing enemies. And when you get to the end of that progress bar, it spawns what's called the Rift Guardian. And then that Rift Guardian will drop a huge amount of loot. And you pick all that up, you leave the rift, you close it, you start a new one. Like that's the general progression here. And you can change the difficulty of the rift by having it on a difficulty setting of your choice. So if you're like running T10 or the upcoming like T13, then the things will be scaled to that difficulty. Then they also have greater rifts, which are something that is difficult based on the level of greater rift you're going into. And it's more like a ladder, like a competitive mode, like who can finish the highest greater rift in the season, that kind of thing. But it's generally the exact same concept. You have randomized enemies, randomized tile sets. You have a boss at the end that you kill, and then that's the end of the rift. They kind of did the same thing here. The Underground is a set of enemies, and it looks like they're going to be adding more to this, by the way. So I need to stress that, like, what we see here is one piece of the Underground, and I'm sure as updates come out they will be adding more pieces to that, so you can keep doing it if you want. So they have randomized tile sets, they have kind of weirdly randomized enemies. You'll come across like Rikers and the cleaners, and they'll be fighting the military force. But overall, you are gonna get the military guys. I forgot their name because they're literally the least important thing to me in this game. They're generic military death things that you go and kill. So you get like the infighting there sometimes when you walk into a room where like the cleaners are fighting the Rikers and stuff. But generally speaking, it is fairly similar enemy types. They did add a few new kinds of like enemies and how they behave, but nothing too crazy there. The real randomization comes from the tile sets here. You are in the Underground, so you're getting like the terminals for like subway systems, and you're also getting piping and stuff, like if you went into like a sewer, which is really cool, and I like that. But the problem with this is that they're using one technical tile set. They're using the Underground as their randomized tile set, whereas in Diablo, if you're playing rifts, you're getting any tile set in the game. So you could be like in Act 1, and then suddenly in Act 5 the next level of that rift, and you get a lot more variety out of this, where this is just the Underground stuff. Like there's very little variety here. There is some variety, but there's very little of it. Whereas if it was maybe you had the Underground stuff, then you had some of Manhattan, and then maybe they added, some additional tile sets that are just like a park, and you have to fight your way through the park. Then that would be more like Rifts, whereas this isn't. This is just the Underground tile set. Whether they add more or not is unknown. I think they will, because it seems like something that they've set up to be expanded upon. But for the most part, yeah, it's just the Underground. It's kind of, after I've probably run over 50 of these, and I'm starting to learn the tile sets enough that I know generally where everything is. But there are some randomized stuff within that. There's also some puzzles to take care of. And by take care of, I mean like you have hazards, like fire hazards and stuff, and you have to like turn off the fire hazard in order to get by. And they're okay. They just kind of serve as another thing to be added into the tile set to randomize it, but there's really nothing too important there. So with that, you have this scaling dungeon that has difficulty settings. You can do it on easy, hard, challenging, and heroic. And each one adds additional like chances to get better gear, like the max level like 268 gear. Then you have directives, which you can unlock by leveling up your underground rank. I'll talk about that in a second. And these directives make the thing slightly harder. It's kind of like just adding a modifier on it. So you can remove the mini map, or you can make it so you have limited ammo, or you can make it so when you use a skill, the other skill also goes on cooldown, stuff like that. And the more of these that you add, the more XP you get when you finish it. Right? So you're mostly getting all of your XP front loaded at the back. So you can't just like farm the enemies here and just expect to level up. You have to finish it to get your XP. I think that makes sense to most people. It's actually something that Diablo recently did, because you had these no Rift Guardian rifts where you would do these really high grader rifts just to farm the trash, and you would never kill the Rift Guardian because it was pretty much impossible to do so, and it would take too long. Well, now Diablo has shifted most of that XP in the Rift to the Rift Guardian, so you pretty much have to finish it to get it. So it's kind of the same thing here, which I like. It's the proper way to do it. And you get all your loot at the end generally as well. There are randomized boxes and stuff in here, and there's audio logs, pictures that you can find if you're really into the lore, and that stuff upgrades I guess the amount of stuff that you've unlocked as well for the underground. From what I could tell, it's not a big amount, so it doesn't really care whether or not you're getting those, but it's additional XP. So, you know, as you rank up, you're unlocking new directives to add to your game and more phases. So you can do different amount of phases of these underground stuff. So you could do like one level of the underground, which is what we're doing here because none of us are level 20. Once you hit level 20, you can add a second level. So you finish the first level, then you go on to a second level, and then you later on can add a third level, and that will give you more XP, a lot more XP, and a lot more gear. So it's, you know, it is dynamic in the fact that you're able to add a lot more to this, but it works the same way that the Dark Zone does with leveling this up. You have a underground rank, which I'm pretty sure maxes out at 99, and you have a Dark Zone rank that is the same thing. So it's kind of the same idea as the Dark Zone if you've played that, except you're getting all the XP at the end when you finish these dungeons instead of from the kills of the enemies. That's basically it. But it is fun, and it is taking the game in the right direction. It's adding more stuff like Diablo. That's what they need to do at this point. They changed one of the cool quality of life things, which is that you can recalibrate the weapon talents that roll. You can recalibrate one of them. So if you get like a good weapon, but one of those talents isn't quite good, you can change the talent on that. And that is really indicative of the Enchantress, or whatever her name is. I don't remember. Kadala. No, not Kadala. Dang it. The transmogrifier in Diablo, where you can kind of do the same thing. They already had recalibration in the game, so it was kind of like that anyways, but now they're kind of taking that a step further. What Alex or Karika suggests while we were playing was that they make it so you can take some of these set pieces and like imbue the effects into like your suit, so that way you can have 2 of the set bonuses and stuff like that. And I think that would be really cool. And it feels like the game is going in that direction where they are, the Mystic, I remembered it, where they're taking aspects of Diablo and they're putting it in the game. They're just doing it very slowly. So we have 2 more expansions involved in this season pass. Who knows what they're going to do after that? We have Survival and some other one that I don't remember the name to because it's so far out that I don't care. But Survival is coming really soon, and it makes me wonder if they're going to expand upon this, because their Survival trailers so far have been focused on like the weather effects and what's going on in the city. So maybe they will add more tile sets to this. I don't know. Maybe more enemy types. I don't know. But if they continue to do more stuff like this, they will continue to make the game better. There is some extra polish that they probably need to put on this. It's really annoying that you can't quick travel out of the terminal once you're there, or the underground area. You can only quick travel in. That's something they need to fix. And there's certainly things that could be better about this, but you know what? It makes the game a lot better. And if you are already a person who enjoyed The Division and maybe stopped playing like I did for a while and that came back when this update was coming, or maybe like tap into it every now and again, then the Underground is worth picking up. It is good. It is really good. But if you're not someone who's been interested in The Division, maybe this isn't for you still. Maybe wait another expansion. If you're looking at this and you go, actually, that sounds kind of fun, you know, leveling up, getting the quests done, getting the main story out of the way, hitting level 30, and then actually having an end game to play, unlike when the launch of the game happened, you didn't have most of the end game, then yeah, I think now's the time to start picking it up. It's like the general MMO thing. You can have fun leveling a character in an MMO, but once you get to end game, when it launches, there's going to be very little to do there, which is unfortunate. And then a couple months down the line, the game is now worth playing because they've added content. So there you go. Like I said, if you find this interesting, if you've always wanted to try The Division, like the Steam Summer Sale's going on as I make this video, so you can pick it up for cheap. You know, just pick up the base game, get to max level, see if you enjoyed it. If you did, then pick up either the Season Pass if you really enjoyed it. That's a bit of a gamble, you know, it always is. Or you could just pick up the Underground if you want that. You know, it's an option. And by the way, if you are or have the game but haven't picked up the Underground, you could still get new 268 gear and 229 weapons by doing the old content on Heroic. So it's not like you have to have the Underground to keep up with everybody else. You know, it's not like everybody else is suddenly raised to the level of 40. Like, that hasn't happened yet. So you could still enjoy the game with this expansion, with this patch, without having the expansion. So that is also an option. But with that being said, I think I've said my piece on this. I still, just like as a general thing, I still do enjoy the game. I think the game is better now. I think they're heading in the right direction. And I think that the new expansions, if they focus on doing more Diablo stuff, or more unique stuff even, that is fun, then I will continue to play the game. It's a game that I said I would play in between Diablo seasons, and that's exactly what I've been doing. I've pretty much called that. So yeah, I enjoy it. If you're looking for something new and this interests you, then it's probably up your alley. But if you have no interest in this, then don't pick it up, because it'll be a waste of your money. With that being said, we shall see you guys next time.